Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lisa DeMauro, and I am joined by my husband, Chris DeMauro, and we are the Talking Gravesend podcast, the podcast that's dedicated to celebrating William DeMayo's streaming series, Gravesend. Today, we are here to talk about Season 2, Episode 4.
Oh, what a night.
What an episode this was.
Oh, my God. Yeah, and it wasn't late. It wasn't December, late in 63.
No, it was not. It was not. It opens up in the pier.
Yeah, that's
pier
right,
in
down
Miami.
in Florida. So really quick, really fun episode. Really excited to jump into it with all of you. I love the title, Oh, What a Night. Of course, Frankie Valli reference. I think we got a little appearance, Frankie Valli character in this particular episode. And you all know Jersey Boys, right? I mean, what a story. That story was like, I think I cried during that movie.
You did, Chris.
I did.
You cried.
So, hey, before we jump in, just a real quick thank you and a special shout out to all the Gravesend cast, all the Gravesend talent who's been reaching out to us with all of your really just great support and well wishes. We really appreciate all of that. Thank you so much, and keep them coming. And we're going to start improving the show a little bit, get some better clips going. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yes, as am I.
All right, so I'm also excited. Let's jump in.
Let's get into this one. So the scene opens, and we see Joe D'Onofrio, Mad Dog, and he is on the pier talking with Benny. You may recall in the last episode that Joe entered the room, entered the scene in Miami, and
like, we really
let him know
talk.
we need to talk, and that's where they closed out there. So they're having a discussion. He mentions that, the phrase, it's a small world, that really means something. The world is getting smaller every day here.
Yes.
So he proceeds to tell Benny a little story about one of his guys at a bar.
I have a little bit of the scene, so why don't we take a quick look of it, and then we'll jump back and talk a little bit about it. Because, this is where Benny learns we all learned some information that we've been really struggling to find out.
Yes, we've been wanting to know.
Expressions are really
Joe?
small world.
Lots of good colors in here.
Yeah. Well, it really is, my
It's got a great voice, Joe, huh?
My guy came
Perfect
down
for
here
this.
with Manny. He's seeing some broad in New Jersey. He takes her out to some bar in Bloomfield. So at the bar having a couple of drinks. A few feet away, a guy named Damon. He's rambling
I
his
love
big
Benny's
mouth at the
face
bartender.
here. He's like,
He's starting to put it
He's a
together.
friend
Yeah.
of him. Next thing you know, this prick Damon mentions your name. How you beat the living crap
There he is.
out of his cousin.
Billy Landon.
I'll never forget that
the
scene.
sandwich.
Fucking disgusting.
Burger. Yes.
Oh, that's disgusting. And it's for Benny Zoletta. I would hate to be around you if he found out.
Yeah, he remembers. Look at him. Look at him. He's angry. I love the side eye he's serving right here.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to throw up,
Well, my
right?
guy sends him over a
Can't
couple of drinks.
freaking
You know,
believe
buddy
it
up
was the
well.
waiter.
They start
The
getting
waiter that sent the guys to whack him out
And
in
Damon
church.
gets so drunk, he starts talking more and more. How his cousin Billy got close to $1 million.
Look at his face.
Well,
He
He's
is
just like,
also
are you
fucking
kidding
vomit."
me? Are you
He was
kidding
so
me?
angry and embarrassed by the beating you gave him at his job.
So here, I'm going to stop it here. So Mad Dog goes on to tell Benny how they got the guy's brother-in-law. They actually show the scene. They beat the shit out of him. They get the address to where Billy Lanson's living up in upstate New York.
Yes.
And then Mad Dog kills him. He
Killed the brother-in-law. He gets the address and he kills him.
And then what about the other fellow that was there beating the guy? I mean, this poor other guy in Mad Dog's crew, all he gets to do is buy pizza and beat people up. I don't even know who he is.
I know.
So then after that, boom, bam, we skip right to the intro with the Lords of Brooklyn that we love. The scene opens, really, they're upstate New York. I get the Big Rocco, Benny, and Mikey the Hat, I think, are on their way up to find Billy. So then we go right to a kitchen, like in a raised ranch, and Peggy's there cooking a really delicious-looking breakfast. And if you don't know, Peggy's played by the producer of Gravesend series, Michelle Francescos. Boy, I hope I said that right, Michelle. I don't want to have any trouble.
You know we're name butchers.
Name butchers.
We apologize.
So Michelle's cooking a great breakfast, and Billy Lanson's there. He was funny. He walks in, and he looks like he just woke up.
I know. Well, yeah, he did. He's eating breakfast. He
And
clearly just rolled up.
I think I have a moment of it, and let's just watch it just because we see who's in there. Hold on.
Ready?
Yeah, here we go. There's Michelle cooking up a little breakfast.
Ooh. Oh, that's awesome, honey. Thank you.
Oh, awesome, honey. Thank you. He drops the paper. He probably just came in from the bathroom. He's also happy.
Nice.
His hair's longer
You're not
since the
having
last
breakfast
time
with
we seen
No,
him.
I wish I could, but I have to
So
go
he's
to work
living
early
humbly
today.
with his million.
Okay.
Yeah, why his wife works.
You're
Why his
gonna
girl
leave me
works
for
and he
lunch
sits home
later,
and
right?
sleeps.
Of course. Just gotta finish the deck out back.
We love to hate on you.
I would have met
All
you for
right,
lunch.
Have a great day.
Okay.
I mean, you make a nice breakfast like that. Come on.
So then later he goes, so as he says, I have to
Finish
work
the deck.
on the deck. And he's met by Big Rocco. with
All
a
right.
pipe in the head.
Yeah, so we've got this scene. Yeah, so we didn't get that. So he was fixing the deck. By the way, when he was fixing the deck, I don't know if you noticed, he had white socks, black shoes,
and white socks,
dark sweatpants, white socks. A little bit of a theme of this. We're going to go back to that. So all of a sudden, Big Rocco comes in, ka-whoop, and just pummels him. And then they drag him. Actually, I have a second of this because let's watch it because it's actually a pretty funny scene in a way. And look at it.
And I love how Mikey the Hat's like, don't whine,
Don't
cry.
whine.
Yeah.
You've been trying to figure
And
out.
here he is.
Look at
who
Benny
came
all
for me
dressed
the
in
church.
black.
All black
I gotta
again.
hand it to you. It
He's
never
praying.
crossed my
No,
mind.
no.
It'd
Is
be
he
you
praying?
Look at
behind
Rocco's jacket's a little torn there. He's got a scuffle.
it. You know, this bat reminds me of the Little League days.
Whack!
So good.
All right, we're gonna
So
stop it
good.
there. That was such a scene. So I love, we don't want to show a bunch of brutal scenes, but that was great because I loved how he says, "Oh, he reminds me of the Little League days." Because if you remember,
if you recall, he didn't want to mention that he remembered him during the Little League game.
Yeah, he's like, we were on the same Little League team.
Yeah,
You bring that up now, he pummels him. So hey, so that's great. The threat is over, right? We found out who it was. It's not any families. It's not anybody in his own crew. It's not Caesar. It's this freaking waiter who's spitting his cheeseburger. That's who it was. So the next scene.
All right, so the next scene opens and it's the Lewisburg Penitentiary.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's
we see
Big Carmine.
Big Carmine. The colors in this scene,
Carmine.
tough Carmine, exactly. The colors in this scene are awesome. And maybe it's just that Chuck Zito looks really good in orange. I don't know.
No, they do really nice color work.
The
in
color
all
grading
of the
is so
scenes
beautiful,
because
and the contrast to the blue and the white and everything, and the green benches. So he's in the weight room.
So one of the guys hands him a newspaper, and
Yes.
it shows Salvi being missing, and he gets a big smile on his face because he knows Benny had made that smell go away.
Yes.
He
You
says-
actually even hear the audio. Oh, there's some garbage that needs to be taken out. You hear that audio in the background.
Oh, of the scene?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
you
that's
hear
a great
you hear
catch.
it as he's reading it. He reminisces to that.
He says, "Put another plate on."
Put another plate on it.
He's doing inverted chest.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
he's
nice.
going big.
Was it inverted chest?
He was just doing bench press
Yeah,
there.
it's doing okay.
I know. We got to ask Peter Gaudio.
what-
Could you let us know
what
what
was the
what was
exact
Chuck doing
exercise?
there? Was that it would have been an incline bench press, Chris, instead of inverted bench press?
There it is, an incline bench. Thank you. Yeah.
But I think it still was just a regular bench press.
So then we cut to another penitentiary scene in Lewisburg prison. It's on the outside weight pile. And it's got Charlie sitting at the head of the table, and he's reading a similar article. And he gets a big smile on his face, and he tells them they're playing rummy. He goes, "Deal me in. I'm feeling lucky."
Yes. So I had just said that Carmine was in Lewisburg. Where is he?
Carmine's Carmine's in Atlanta.
Okay.
Charlie,
I knew I had some. I'm like, wait a
Charlie's
minute.
in Lewisburg. Charlie's in Lewisburg,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Perfect.
So really, everybody, like, what it is that the crew that's behind jail, right, behind bars, they're feeling better, right, because the guy who put him there is now gone, and their people took him out, and it's start of I kind of like the healing of Charlie's crew, right, because this is all part of this. Caesar's kept them down, and this is all part of them gaining their strength back. And then
Benny's back in New York. The threat for that put everyone away. Yes,
yeah, so
exactly.
that's the next scene. Like at 8:04, we actually show the Brooklyn Bridge overhead, and that always signifies we're coming back to Brooklyn. And we enter into a street party, like a block party.
Yes.
And there's music playing, and
there's some people dancing.
There's kids break dancing on
Yes, they're
cardboard.
break
I used to
dancing in
like,
cardboard.
come on, everybody. If you were this age, you tried to break dance. Who could do windmills and Amtraks, ball busters, anybody? I know Benny can. I've seen it. I've seen it.
I'm still trying to work my helicopters.
Oh my God! So everybody's having fun, and Benny's feeling good about being home. They're shooting off fireworks.
Yeah. And you know who we see dancing?
Oh, that's right.
We see dancing behind there. Chris and Lisa.
Hey, Chris and Lisa.
Hey, Chris and Lisa.
We watch your YouTube. Come on,
my
Chris,
God,
the hobby
cruising
guy.
86th
We cruised
Street.
86th Street with you guys. Love that
Yeah,
video. Come on.
we see you a couple of times here, so it's great.
Yeah,
to
you're in this show, and we're gonna spout you out.
Who
a couple
doesn't
times.
love a Chris and Lisa?
Come on, Chris and Lisa. I just
All
thought
right.
we were the original. I guess we're gonna be Chris and Lisa North, Chris and Lisa South. We'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
Oh, here goes engine one. So what happens is the ice cream truck pulls up, and Benny goes out, and he's like, you know what? Ice cream for everybody on the whole route today.
Yeah. He's talking to a young man. Says, "Hey, I noticed you're wearing the
he's wearing the Brooklyn
Brooklyn
brand.
brand
Yeah.
shirt."
And all the kids are wearing them
All
since
the
they
kids
came
are wearing
out.
him
Yeah.
since he came out. He has a big smile on his face. And this scene is actually more powerful
It is.
than than
you think it's just Benny
initially.
buying? You think it's just Benny buying ice cream? But we're going to talk about it as we progress here.
Story always comes full circle.
And what he did is he said everyone on the whole route gets free ice cream.
That's right.
So
he gives her like
cuffed her like
300. Yeah.
I mean, back in '87, shit, 300 was like $1,000.
Yeah. When he gave her the first 100, she's like, "Do you want your change, Benny?" He's like, "No, buy it for everybody." So
at 9:50 on the timeline, we're back in Boca Raton at one of the yacht clubs, and Eli is playing one of the slot machines that Benny put in there, and he's complaining that these machines don't pay out.
yes, and
I say Marty. Is it Murray? Murray, who Marty Cove plays, says, we don't expect the Italians to let you win, do you?
no. And none of those machines want you to win. So.
And anyway, so they're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, these fellas walk in.
Yes.
And he says, I thought what are you doing here in Florida? And he says, Abe says this needs to be done. So it's obvious this is Abe.
The temperature
back in
immediately
Borough Park.
rises. Yes.
And these Hasidic heavies beat the shit out of Eli. I mean, they freaking pummel the guy. And
Eli even comes in. He's swinging first off because he knows he's about to get beat. And nope.
He was like, enough. So basically, I think this is all going back to him. Abe must have found out that Eli mouthed off to Mario and to Petey.
Yes.
And he sent these guys down to Florida to beat him up.
Yeah.
Which I was like, holy shit, freaking Abe is like, he's taking on this new persona he's got going on.
I mean, nobody cared about your fucking judo, Eli, okay?
So now we want to jump to the scene, and we're going to play this scene. You know what? Why don't we play it, and then let's talk about it. And it's a scene with Chaz Palminteri, who plays Caesar, and Vincent Pastore, who plays he's the Consigliere, Donnie Glasses, and then Tony Darrow.
And Tony Darrow
comes
into the scene. Yep, it's a great scene.
He's got agents all over Mulberry.
So they're talking about
Street for the
Giuliani.
feast of San Gennaro. Come on, this is tradition.
And that he's all over the feast.
Tradition, we had it for
He's
years.
busting everyone's balls.
I'm telling you right now.
He does
I
not
don't want
look
to say this,
dressed
but
like
I think
someone
it's
who
time that-
runs a gang on the
listen to
street.
me. I think
Hold on,
it's
did you hear what he
time.
said?
I know where you're going with
He
this.
says, you know what
and
it
now we
is? It's
can't
time
do
for
that.
this guy to go. And so
The
he's
other
basically
families
talking
don't
about
like
whacking
it.
Rudy
The
Giuliani
heat's
right
gonna
now,
come down
which is a
more.
bad idea.
And what about the other bosses? I know 3 bosses right now.
He says, I
that
got
would
bosses.
give the
3
okay.
bosses right now that give the
That
okay.
Rudy, he wants to run for mayor. Mayor. You believe the ego on this guy? This guy's
The ego
makes
on this
Charlie's
guy.
look small.
And who about
That's
the
all.
ego on Caesar,
Trust
right?
me.
Yeah, no ego there.
There
So
it
here
is.
comes Tony Darrow. He's the
Ego.
underboss.
You're not going to believe this. Guess who's back?
So we know he's talking about
He's
Benny.
talking about Benny.
Benny. That's right. And could you imagine how big his fucking head is going to be now? Yeah, well, one of the biggest rats we ever had in this family.
Can you stand that? Why would
Big
you even
fucking
say
deal.
big
Do you
fucking
know the
deal?
shit this kid is going to
That's
stir up now with everybody?
Yeah, no. So
You're
we're
supposed to be an underboss. You need to care about this.
Ronaldo-
So we're going to stop the scene right there. So that absolutely, that was the thing that caught me about it. I mean, this guy hates Benny.
Yeah, I'm
and
like-
he's scared of Charlie. He's scared of Benny's crew. He knows because he's kind of like he's the underboss. He's the street boss, right? He's the guy in charge on the street.
Yeah, he's the boots on the street.
So he knows things. His time is numbered, and for him, he comes right out and says he wants to get rid of Benny in this.
Yes, he's
He
pretty
literally
overt
does.
with
He
that.
is overt. This guy wants Benny gone. He doesn't want Charlie. He knows Charlie's about to get out of college, quote unquote.
They're really fearful of Charlie.
Well,
I
because
mean,
Charlie's a real guy, and everyone loves Charlie.
Absolutely.
So,
Charlie's good.
So yeah, so they talk. So Joey, Tony Darrow, I keep calling him Tony. So Tony plays Joey, and that's the underboss, and he's like he wants to take Benny out. So then we jump to 1354 on the timeline, and Benny's opening up his garage.
Yeah,
and
this
he
is a
uncovers
real
his,
happy scene.
I almost feel like he's saying hi to his girl, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's back home. He's like, hey, baby, I want
He
to take you for
uncovers
a
that
ride.
1987 Buick Grand National. We got the music playing, New York, New York, New York.
Great song.
And he hits the neighborhood, right? He goes by.
He's
He's
cruising.
cruising. He goes by L&B. He's seeing everybody, and then he ends up in front of Our Lady of Grace Church, which it kind of gets a little heavy for a second because he actually gets out of the car. This is where he goes and speaks to St. Anthony. The last time he was inside of that church, he was
There was
assassinated.
an
Yeah,
assassination attempt. So a failed attempt.
A failed attempt. So he actually turns and he doesn't go in. So that I just thought it was a great scene. It's kind of a homecoming scene, but also, letting us know he's back, but he's not all the way back.
He's still,
right?
he's still a little tentative in the
Yeah, that's
mind.
right.
Yeah, still a little tentative. So then the next scene opens up and we see the Staten Island Bridge. And Benny's over there talking to Tina Telva, played by Sophia Milos.
Oh God! So this is
and
another
this is
one.
another great scene.
So we're at, number one. It's shot at golden hour, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And we're going to take a look at it here. And then there's a couple of things that happen that progress. So let's just take a little watch together.
Yes. I always love Tina's energy when she's around Benny.
Of course they did.
You think our governor, Mario Cuomo, even though he's Italian,
Talking about the toll.
give us a break?
I'm very happy you're back.
And she's happy that Benny's back. She's getting some normalcy
I'm
back
very
with
happy
Benny.
to see you. How's Rosemary going?
She's been going through a rough time. It's tough for her to see her father in handcuffs.
Yeah. Look, I know he's going to court this week. You know, I've been there. Most of us have. And I would never say this to you just to make you feel better. When the feds arrest you, 99%, you're doing time. But in this case, I really don't think they got much.
I was really surprised.
That's
you
a
said
pretty
that.
bold
Yeah, that is a
statement
bold
there,
statement
Benny.
right there.
Spoke to them. I really think he's going to beat this.
Your lips,
Really?
God's ears.
Your lips to God's
ears.
ears. Yep.
I pray the rosary.
That doesn't go together,
Hate
does it?
this.
You don't have to do that.
Of course I do.
So he gives her her tribute.
Not everyone is like you. Rocco was the
Rocco.
only other one who gave
Yeah,
us
big
something.
Rocco.
All the others,
The only other one that gave
Not even a
gave her
phone call.
anything, any help at all.
can you believe that?
You know, Rocco's always there. Rocco's
Right.
one of those guys that's all.
Everybody
he's
could
there.
use a big Rocco in their
Yes,
life.
yes,
You know what I
he's
mean?
a solid. He's a solid.
So we're gonna
He'll whack your guy. He'll whack your
He'll whack your
friend.
guys out.
He'll
and he'll help you work out the
And
next
then
day.
he'll
You know
work
what I
you-
mean? We got to get with you, Peter. We need, we need a little Gravesend workout.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so listen, and I want to just show this for a second because this is where
Come over for dinner one night.
she talks about
I got
cooking
no
him
one to
dinner.
cook for now. And Rosemary
Well,
showed
as
He
you
knows
know,
what's coming.
Benny gives her the feels. We've talked about
Yeah,
this
we
in a
did.
previous
You know I can't
episode.
do that.
And even he knows it. He's
We can meet outside like this. If you need anything from me, you know I'm here.
So
he,
this
he-
is
he has to meet publicly. Yeah, he's like, I can't do that. She's like, come, I need to cook. I don't cook for anybody.
this is another reason why I love this show because it gets the rules so right, and this is a huge thing, right? You are not allowed to meet with another man's wife behind closed doors alone. Period. And he just says, she kind of sounds innocent. Oh, Rosemary's never here, and maybe come by for dinner sometime. And he's like, I can't do that. I can meet you anytime outside. You need me, I'm there. But that's that. So this is the first time Benny's catching a whiff. Okay, this is my opinion because the audience knows the bed and the holding of the phone.
Well,
Benny don't know it yet.
But in one of their first encounters that we saw back in season 1, when they were on the street, if you remember, she was trying to talk to Benny back then too. If you remember, they were standing by the cars and they were having a conversation.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's right.
And
Okay.
I forget exactly what she said there, but he was just like, I can meet you here. I can meet you here.
So at 1750 on the timeline, we've got the next scene with Caesar walking on the green with an attorney named Marty, and they're talking about Chris's case, right? Because he's
That
in jail.
Caesar lives the life.
That's Caesar. He doesn't get off the fucking country club. This guy.
Life.
So I wanted to include this scene. So let's play it, and then we're going to talk a little bit about why it's kind of fun and who's in the scene.
Real strong shot, but
Here's Marty, the
that
attorney,
plea
walking with
the
Caesar.
DA offered, that wasn't bad at all, Caesar. 6 years, and Chris was really thinking about it because Chris knows that if we lose, he could very well get around 15.
15. At age 65, any time away from your
Caesar
family
doesn't
is
even
like a
look
life
worried,
sentence.
if you notice this.
No, I'm not against
Doesn't
taking
even
a
bother
plea,
him.
but in this case, we're going to fight it.
He's
I guarantee
indifferent
one
to
thing,
his
we're
whole
gonna do our
crew.
best for you, that's for sure. You know who's really concerned about it? Nick Zee. Benny reaches out to Michael Statton. He's one of the other attorneys on the case to see what he thought.
Yeah. Benny wants to take over Chris's
So-
crew.
And I wonder if that's why
Don't
Benny's
mind, I
feeling
think I'll stay
confident.
away
It's
from
enough
definitely why.
to-
It's definitely
to
why.
speak
By the way, you're not
to
gonna
Tina in
believe-
such a way.
So Marty Vermin is played by Sean Hollywood Hamilton. He's from WKTU. He's like, this guy is a huge radio guy.
Oh my God! Yes.
I mean, go ahead.
the weekend top 30 countdown.
He's the inventor. He's the executive producer of the Weekend Top 30 Countdown. He is the founder of the EDM Music Awards. This guy was inducted to the National Radio Gallery Hall of Fame.
Wow.
I mean, huge national iHeartRadio personality. He has a great show in the afternoon in New York, War of the Roses. Huge
Roses.
popular. So really love to see you in there, Mr. Hollywood Hamilton. And geez, I hope you like my voice. I'd be happy to come on the radio. Anyway,
You do have such a sultry
you know,
voice.
I like my voice. So
Yes.
anyway, now they talked about Chris's case, and then the attorney, he actually says, he goes, "Hey, I ran into Giacomo over at the OTB."
Yes,
and that really changes things in the conversation.
I wasn't aware of who Giacomo was. So he's
No,
a
we
new
don't know who he
character
is.
that we're introduced to, and all I know is that he.
Caesar was pissed. He was like, I
Yes.
put him on the shelf, which he's not allowed to bet or be on the street or take part in any of the street stuff, right, when you're on the shelf. So the next scene cuts to Giacomo, who's played by Claudio Bellante, and he's at a payphone in a nice new Sergio Tacchini
Yes,
jumpsuit.
digging that tracksuit.
Yeah, it's a
there.
brand new jumpsuit. Must have done pretty well on one bet or two to have that. And then all of a sudden, Iggy pulls up in the car, and he goes, "I gotta go," and he starts running.
He's running. He is running, and so Iggy's guys start beating him. They freaking beat.
They
the
pummel
schnook
this
out of
guy.
him.
They're just like, "You're not supposed to." And as a matter of fact,
The
Iggy's,
shelf means the fucking shelf.
yeah, he puts a gun in the guy's mouth. He's like, "This is it, fucking," and they think you're gonna kill him, but he doesn't. He says, "I find you, and I'm gonna blow your brains all over these streets."
So yeah, this guy was spared. So next scene, we're back over on Benny's stoop. And the neighbor gets dropped off, Mrs.
Cosenza.
Mrs. Cosenza, exactly. She was out playing bingo.
Yeah.
And she went to the Vegas diner.
And to the Vegas diner. Yeah, I think that she pulls up in a Buick Cutlass Supreme, if I'm not mistaken. Big Time Tommy, tell me, am I right on that one?
What is it?
So Mrs. Cosenza and Mr. Cosenza are both in this scene. Mr. Cosenza is played by John Frieda, and he was in The Family and The Blacklist. And Mrs. Cosenza is played by
Trafficante.
Denise Trafficante. And they have a little fun exchange. The husband's giving her a hard time about being out late, and he's like, kind of like, where you been, kind of a thing. And he tells her to go inside.
Yeah. And Benny says, you know she was at the Vegas diner. And he says, Benny, don't you know that I know she was at the Vegas diner? I don't have to worry about that woman after all these
That's what
years.
he said, because you got to find a woman like that, Benny. And then, of course, we both, before transition, we're like, he's thinking about Virginia.
We're like, oh, geez. You got to
Right
put
back to
Virginia right
Virginia.
back in his mind.
So then we move on to 23 minutes and 54 seconds on the timeline, and they're standing outside Mad Dog's club, and some of the guys are outside. Poor guy who beats people and eats pizza, sitting outside, and they're upstairs talking over their pigeons.
So upstairs we see Mad Dog and Benny talking, and Mad Dog is wearing a nice Sergio Tacchini tracksuit.
Yeah, I like those.
Yeah. And I don't know. I thought I saw some puffy laces on
I
his
think he was wearing shell toe Adidas with gray puff laces, and I got to tell you that I wasn't aware of any made guys wearing puff laces in the 80s.
I don't know. I guess Mad Dog
But that
has
could be
his
different
own
in Brooklyn.
way.
Here in Springfield, I got made fun of because I was at the age, I was like a teenager, and I wore those. And certain people says, "What are you doing wearing puff laces?" So
Are you sure it was the laces?
might have been the tracksuit.
It could have been the suit. We'll
So
see.
the other thing that's fun about the scenes, they're talking about pigeons, right? So Italians love pigeons. I don't know if you guys know about tumblers. A good friend of mine has a whole coop of pigeons, and I mean, he's like, "Oh, look over your house. They're over your house right now." I mean, they homing pigeons. It's something that Italians have done. The Pope of Greenwich Village touched on pigeons, and Mad Dog's pissed because his nephew hasn't cleaned up the bird shit.
Correct.
And he's like, he's always sucking face or chasing after some tail, and they use a little line
He
from
says
The
he's
Sopranos.
sucking his girlfriend's bloomers.
There's
is
bloomers,
the actual line.
And he's like, and Betty goes, "Why is she a ticket? Is she good looking?" She's a
He's
7.
like, she's a 7, but he's a 4 at top, so that's good for him.
So they have a little chit chat about Benny really thanking him for coming down to Florida. Because let's face it, Mad Dog did him an enormous
Huge solid.
And he says, "I want you to always remember what I'm about to tell you. I'm with you." You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate.
He
what
says it
you
real
did.
close to him, too.
So and then. All of a sudden, they start getting into like Caesar and his boss, and
how they never even come down off the country club, and how they never get an invite over to
he
the
says,
country club.
I guess Mad Dog's boss is Alfonso, and he says he hasn't even seen me since I came out. And then he came out with another ungrateful, and then all of a sudden, Mad Dog gives him a little, and he whispers something in the ear, and as the audience, we have no idea what he says.
No
First time something
idea.
like
We can
that
only
happens.
speculate what he's saying.
So then we jump to two of the agents. Agent Morano and Jeffrey are sitting in that red, I think it's at a Grand Marquis or something like that.
Are you asking me?
Sorry, and they're sitting in there, and they're talking about Salvi Vincenzo. And you know what? Let's play a moment of the scene because it stars Paul Borghese.
How bad do we look now?
What you talking about?
What am I talking about? Salvi Vincenzo, missing. I'm sure they got to him.
Because again, Paul knows the Italians, right? So he knows.
Hell, to make the job tougher.
hurt our chances of getting other people to cooperate.
Everyone in New York, are they still have
You
these
know what
same
else
coffee
you should
cups
do?
everywhere at all
Now, what
the
else?
places?
We should teach
I haven't seen this
people
coffee cup since I was in
to
New York.
not leave the program and to not go to somewhere like Miami of all places.
Maybe on the
Any
decaf.
more decaf, any decaf. You know I live on coffee. Stop fucking with me.
Paul does a great job in that scene. So then we move on to 2650 in the nightclub, and it's kind of the welcome home party. Benny walks in with Gaetano, Mikey the Hat. He's greeted by
Quite the
Santo.
happening party here.
It's a happening party. I just love it.
He's dressed really nice.
And this is he's back.
He's back.
Right? He's
Benny
back.
is back.
And actually, I have the scene, and we're going to play it in just a minute. And what happens is he has a moment to talk to Big Rocco. So let's just jump to the scene, and then we'll talk about why we like it. There's everybody clapping, and he sees Rocco. And, of course, Big Rocco's played by Peter Guadio.
You know, I haven't had a chance to really thank you for saving me in the church with Mikey. You don't have to thank me, Benny. It was because of Mikey we went. We were playing cards at the club, and he felt it.
They felt it.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that it was God that led us to the church. Have you been back at
And
the
he
church
even asked,
yet,
you been
Benny?
back at the church yet, Benny?
No.
No,
You
but I
know.
drove by it last night.
Go for
And then he
you.
says, I go to
That's
church
right.
every
And I don't care if
Sunday. I
anybody
don't care
here
who
knows that.
knows it.
Good. You shouldn't.
Me and you.
Me and
He's
you.
got big pride. I like Rocco.
I love
Same
Rocco's.
day.
Like we just
That's
said,
right.
everybody needs a little Rocco in their life.
Or a big Rocco in their
Or
life.
a big Rocco in their life. That's right. We don't need a little Rocco. We need a big
Don't even
Rocco.
mention that guy. Come on, let's enjoy the party. It's your night, pal.
So,
And they mentioned how they were both made together at the same time.
and that was so. I want to talk about that. A couple things. So, number one, we find out, and we know that Big Rocco and Mikey saved Benny, and I'm glad that Benny had that moment with him. And the thing that I really liked about the scene is that he's talked about how he goes to church every Sunday, and he says, and I don't care who here knows it. And then the delivery from Benny was, "You and me both were made at the same day."
Yes.
So I kind of got that double meaning, right? Like you and me both are going to go to church every Sunday, and you and me both were made on the same day. So I just really like that, and I just love how endearing Rocco is in the scene.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great
He
job,
looks-
Peter Guadio. We've been waiting for some lines from you, and just this one didn't disappoint.
So then we are introduced to Dr. Schultz.
Oh, that's right.
Who we haven't seen Dr. Schultz, and he was pulling the lead out of Benny's belly.
So you know what? I didn't realize. As we watch the show, gang, we don't realize that characters are going to be reappearing. So Dr. Schultz is played by Michael Katz, and he was in The Last Thing. The Last Thing He Wanted and Mafia Ties is another one of his credits. And he has a little exchange with Benny, and he says that your Uncle Charlie was here for my father, and I'm going to be
Correct.
here for you.
And I'll be here for you.
So, and then he couldn't drink because he had surgery in the morning.
Correct. Good choice, Doc. Good choice.
So Santo brings up a Frankie Valli to sing a song for everybody,
Yeah.
and they play "Oh What a Night." Of course, they play "Oh What a Night," and a beautiful Cadillac pulls into Brooklyn Boatyard. All of a sudden, they're cooking peppers and onions on the grill, and they're at Benny's new home, right? His new. I don't know.
His new headquarters,
his new
we'll call
headquarters.
it.
Yeah.
As he said, he's like, I'm so used to being on the water in Florida that it was only natural for me to be up here in the yacht marina there.
And Mikey the Hat's like, hey, there's a gate, only members only in here. And it's funny because Mikey the Hat's always wearing members only coats, right?
Yes,
So he's like, it's
yes,
only members
gotta
only.
love the members only.
So it's a good reference there. And so they're kind of troughed off over there, right? And just then, Tommaso back. Just then, we see Tommaso is back at the table. He's sitting with Benny, and he's kind of bringing him up to speed. And he talks about Jimmy Beans coming back to Lenny's Pizza to his brother-in-law's. And he says, I think I've got a little bit of it here. He says, they came back and he got more pizzas. Unbelievable. So,
Pizza incident with
yeah, here we go. So here's Louis
Well,
Lombardi.
Lenny. Didn't Chris take care of it while I was away?
Yeah, he sat with Jimmy's Captain Alley. Good. No, it's not good, Benny. Lenny called me yesterday and he said a couple of Jimmy's guys came in. They ordered a dozen or so pizzas for their card game. And he says they're not fucking paying.
Are you kidding me?
Fucking balls on this prick.
So now Benny's got to deal with this. He's got to deal with Jimmy Beans again. He thought he had this
Thought he
squared.
had it
Only
squared
a
away.
real cocksucker, that Jimmy Beans.
Nice members only jacket there in the
Yep.
navy blue.
And then, hey,
I'll be right with you,
Chris
Gaetano.
Armando.
Chris
Gaetano.
Marmando.
All right, then I'll wait for you in the car.
Ah.
All right.
There's where it starts.
Can
There's
we
where it
talk about
starts.
that for a second?
And then he goes, how's this all working out for you? So let's talk about that for a second. So right away, I just want to say you can feel a little bit of tension between Tommaso and Gaetano. Not Gaetano to Tommaso, but Tommaso to Gaetano. I don't know if you caught that. And then for Benny to be like, hey, you're not included in this conversation.
No, it was really bad because Gaetano was walking up quite happy.
He had the baby. We couldn't see the baby blues because they were covered up. But he had a nice smile on. Gaetano had some swagger on.
And you can literally see him be slighted by what Benny said. That was the mistake. No, he was slighted at that very moment, and that's gonna come back to haunt you. But great acting there, Chris Mormondo as Gaetano. I bought it. Your body language, that micro expression of upset.
Yeah, I caught that. And then we go back. So then they're back in a Jewish deli, and Gaetano's waiting at the counter. And there's like a Hasidic Jew sitting there eating some kind of like matzo ball soup.
He's like, what is that matzo ball soup?
And he won't look at him because the Jews, they call us goys if we're not one of them. They won't talk to us. So it's kind of an interesting little exchange. And in the meeting Benny's having, he's back with Abe, and Abe starts bringing up like, what happened? You know what I mean?
Yes,
First of all, he talks about, Benny says, hey, you sent these guys down to beat up fucking Eli.
Right. He's like, don't do that. We handle that stuff. We don't need you to do that. And then he starts talking about the killing.
I mean, he's like, I wish I could have done it myself. And
I'm just like, what are you doing? You never talk about it.
Benny's like, we got to move on from that. And it was a big faux pas.
Yeah, he's like, you need to move on.
And then, and the dude that brought the Hasidic heavies down to Florida, he was in the room. He kind of heard everything. It wasn't a fucking good idea.
We didn't need anyone to.
So by the way, Benny's wearing a blue members only jacket in that scene, and fucking looks pretty damn good.
That navy blue looks really good on Benny.
So and then when Benny brings Abe back up and he introduces him to Gaetano, who's any friend of Benny's, and then Gaetano's like, yeah, I don't think your friends feel the same way, and then he goes and straightens out, dude.
Yeah, he smacks him. He loves smacking someone in the back of the head. I love that.
Abe. Ken Lerner, he's a heavy. He's like, he's not going to let anyone disrespect Benny and his crew, right? Because Benny's been taking care of him because they were all, in the beginning, he was talking about the house that they gave him or the building and like how to hold it and like the market's coming up and all of that stuff. So, woo. So Benny, when they get in the car, it's funny. Gaetano says something. He goes, the Jews, they stick together sometimes more than the Italians. I don't know if you caught that. And I know Benny was kind of like, what do you mean by that?
Right.
We're starting to feel some of this transition that's occurring with Gaetano. So
we shouldn't have dismissed him.
So then the next scene is Maureen's back in her apartment.
Yes.
We kind of skipped over. There was a scene where when Mario went and visited Maureen at Wiggles, he brought some money to Maureen over at Wiggles, and she kind of she didn't want to take the money.
Yeah. Here's a little friendly tip. Anyone passes you a big envelope of money, just take it.
Take the money.
Always take it.
Take the money.
I have a rule. If someone's offering me money, I'm going to take it. Mom, Dad, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, that's right. You told me something about that. So if your mom, I don't feel right about it, but you're like, no, you got to take it.
Mom wants to give you $10, you take that $10. Otherwise, it's an insult.
So at 36 minutes, Santo is sitting at the club, and he's saying how different it was back in the day. And then Santo starts telling stories. Benny starts talking about, I guess Santo's really saying that Caesar's trying to keep him down. I mean, people are trying to get into Benny's head right now.
Really working it.
And then they talk about, because he talks about Charlie and what a stand-up guy Charlie is. And they go into this story. Benny shares a story about back in the day when they were at a restaurant and there are these gavones, these guys at a table who were talking loudly, using F-bombs, using the C word. And Charlie just didn't take that because, you know what I mean? And he went and took care of some business, I guess, with these guys. And
yes, he straightened them all out, and yeah.
And then I think Santos says all the girls must have been, I don't want to say it. They must have been excited after all that had happened.
Possibly slipping out of their chairs. I don't know.
Something like that. So just as that conversation's finishing up, we hear Cynthia's song, Why Did You Have to Change on Me? Or I think it's because Change on Me, but it's a great Clubhouse song. And Benny spots Rosemary. Benny spots Rosemary and her boyfriend doing shots at the bar.
And he does not look pleased about it. So
and she introduces, he walks right over, and she introduces her boyfriend Ryan, who's played by Sean Finnegan, and he's wearing a mustard members only. This is a members only episode.
Yep, members only, showing up hard.
And he says he takes Rosemary aside because he wants to drive her home, or he wants someone to drive her home because this guy's doing shots one after another.
He's like, what is he, Irish? That's why he's over there drinking so heavily.
And then Benny says to her, "Your dad's coming home." And it was another, I was like, oh, Jesus
Why are you doing
Christ,
this,
why
Benny?
Are you doing this?
Yeah, but again, he's got this bravado because he must have spoken to the attorney.
You know what it is? He's back home, Lisa. He's back home. He's like, he's the new man. He's trying to fix everything. And he's also trying to, I don't know if he was trying, if this is like over or just happening, but he wants to take care of everything. He wants to make sure everything's handled in the neighborhood. And whether or not he realizes that's what he's doing or it's just occurring because of who he is. So now at 41 minutes on the timeline, we start getting into really the denouement, the ending of this program. And it starts to get heavy. And I've got to tell you, before we get into the next two scenes, I personally, after completing watching this episode for the very first time, I was a little bit sad for about 5 days.
You had mentioned that.
Yeah,
I was like, geez. And we watched this episode separately at first. And I had watched it one morning at the gym. And then when I came home, I said, well, Chris, I totally understand why you were upset. That was a pretty heavy scene between Louis Lombardi and William DeMeo there, where they're both sitting and talking about their fathers.
Yes, let's try to jump into that. And then we're going to go back to why. So here's Louis Lombardi.
I'm really sorry.
Plays
I didn't make
Tommaso.
your welcome home party. We'll make it down to Florida to come visit
I'm really
you.
sorry I didn't make you a welcome home party.
My dad, he's still in the hospital.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry. Hope he comes home soon.
I think Louis does a great job in this scene.
Got a lot of issues.
Oh, he looks on the verge of tears.
He does. He really does.
Unfortunately.
Did you ever call
And
your
he brings
father
up, because
like
he
I
was the one who
suggested?
was like, you got to call your
You gotta
dad.
call your dad.
Yeah, I did. But it didn't go too well.
What
Yeah,
up?
you remember he called him and his
Yeah.
father wouldn't speak to him. He just hung up.
He hung up on me.
It's okay, Benny.
And I like that. It's okay. Like, don't give up.
You know, I remember when I was away upstate,
Yeah, and he talks about
Every
this. So
time
he's,
I'd be
his
sitting
dad
in
never
my
came
cell.
to see him.
just waiting for my dad to come and visit. But it never happened. He never showed up.
He'll come,
Okay.
Benny.
So it was an intense scene, right? Because they're basically, Tommaso's like, look, your dad's still alive. He's fine. I want you to
Yes, it
connect with
does,
him. I
Benny.
can't do that with him. He's in a hospital bed. There's nothing that I
All the
can do.
differences I
And this
had
is all
with
You
my
going.
still
dad
have that
over the years.
opportunity
No,
to do it.
It is, and it's
Now
going
I
back
sit
to this
there and I
Catholic
watch
guilt
it.
that we talked about in the other episodes. I mean, no matter what your parents and what they do to you, some people are like, you've got to do what you can to make amends with your dad while he's still here. Obviously, it was, for me personally, it hit close to home for a variety of reasons. So we go right from this heavy conversation between Benny and Tommaso at night having cappuccino or espressos about their dad. And we go to Benny sitting on his stoop, and he goes right into a memory of his childhood.
Yes, we're going right into another black and white scene.
So this scene is at 44:36 on the timeline. It was an extremely moving scene for me. And why don't we watch a little bit of it, and then let's talk about it. So you can hear the music is Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin. If you're 45 to 55 and a man, you know that song. Hey. So there's Benny's dad.
Yeah, that's his father, played by Louis Finera.
I'll tell you what else. What would be? Hey, kid.
Ice cream for
Ice cream.
everybody.
Where did we hear that recently?
Where did we hear that? Full circle.
His dad is in his heart. That's who he is. He can't stop it. He's two people, Lisa.
Well, who doesn't want to be loved and accepted by their parents?
I love it.
It's a real happy memory.
I'm going to stop it now. And frankly, so this was a really moving scene for me. And number one, like Lisa said, his dad bought all of the kids ice cream. And that's just like Benny in the very beginning when he bought ice cream
Yeah,
for
he gave
everybody.
Maria
and then
the
the whole
300
route.
for- yeah.
And the whole route, right? So it's still, Benny is two men. He's his father, and he's the men like Charlie. And it's this struggle that he has inside of him that makes this scene so powerful. Cats in the Cradle. I've been singing this song in my head all week since we've watched this episode so many times. Emotionally, I have a difficult time with the song, frankly, because it reminds me of my life in a lot of ways, and it's hard not to feel. You know what? William, it was worth every dollar. I fucking cried at the scene. Okay, there you have it. It was intense, and him with his dad eating the ice cream.
Oh yeah, just how he has his arm around him. It's really endearing.
3 blocks from here, I sat with my father on the corner when I was 4 years old with a bottle of ginger ale and a bag of peanuts, and he taught me to put the peanuts in the ginger ale. And we sat on the fucking curb and drank our ginger ale and ate peanuts, and then we took the bus home. I'll never forget it. I'm 52. That was like 48 years ago. Anyway, the scene hit home. Unbelievable job.
Way to close out that episode.
Let's do it.
Oh,
Another
what a
great
night.
episode. We loved it. Come on. This show, if you are not watching the Gravesend series by the end of watching this end of Talking Gravesend, you got to get into this series. It's going to grip you. You're going to laugh. You're going to cry. You're going to smile. You're going to do all the things you need to do whilst being entertained on your television.
Yes. So please join us back here at the Talking Gravesend podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel.
Please.
Follow us on all of our social media.
All down here. And while you're following people on social media, go ahead and follow the Gravesend series on Instagram. They also have a Facebook page. Follow all the cast and the crew. Go ahead and make sure you're following Chris and Lisa. We're having a lot of fun producing these episodes, and now we're going to jump right into the very next one. So get through
Episode
this.
5. Go
Go ahead and watch episode 5, and then tune into Talking Gravesend podcast, because we're going to cover all of the details that you have already grown to love.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see you on the streets.
All right, as always, on behalf of Chris and Lisa,
Ciao.